الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise are due to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, the creator of the universe, the one who sustains us. All praises are due to Him only. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, who chose us first and foremost to be human beings. He says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Indeed, we have honored Bani Adam. We're not like snakes that move on their bellies. We're not like animals who have to reach with their mouth to eat. We can take a spoon and put it in our mouth. We're not like other species, like the jinn, for example, who can't be seen. We're better than that. Allah Ta'ala gave us a favor on all of His creation. We're the best of the creations. Better than the angels, better than the animals, better than the stars and the moon and all you can imagine. The human beings are the best of Allah's creation. That's a virtue of Allah. Allah could have made us rats or anything else, but we're humans. Glory be to Allah Ta'ala who made us Muslims. We could have been born as non-Muslims. Can you imagine that? You don't know what Islam is, you don't know Salah, you don't know Zakah, you don't know Hajj, you don't know on any of that. What you know is worshipping idols and cows and the cross and this and that, or worshipping the fire. Glory be to Allah Ta'ala who made us Muslims. Glory be to Allah Ta'ala who not only made us Muslims, but He made us people who have some sort of Islam or some sort of any link to Islam, i.e. we come into the masjid. Not everybody prays. I'm sure you know people that don't pray. They don't pray Juhmah, even Eid they don't pray. Talk less of the 5 daily prayers. Imagine if you were one of those people. You're born in a Muslim family. Your father was Muslim, but perhaps your father was a sheikh in your country, but you don't pray. You have no connection. You know how many, people who came here from other countries decades ago, and now there is no Islam. The only Islam they have is their name. And sometimes they don't even want people to know that they're Muslims. Glory be to Allah for those things. Allah Ta'ala is praised in every situation, whether it's positive or negative. Whether something good is happening in your life, you had a child, MashaAllah, Allahumma barak, you praise Allah for it. You had a death in your family, you praise Allah for it. You have a new job, you have your degree, you praise Allah for it. You got sacked from your job, you praise Allah for it. Because you don't know. As human beings, we only think or we only reflect or see to the tip of our nose. We don't see the view, what is happening behind. Allah Ta'ala has hikmah in everything that He decrees. Azza wa Jal. وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. أو وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. نعم. وَعَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌّ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. This ayah is something that every time I read it, my body shakes, literally. It is possible that you love something. You want to have something. The latest gadget, this job, this promotion, this salary. وَهُوَ شَرٌّ لَكُمْ. This car, it is bad for you, and you don't know. And it's possible that you hate something, but that is better for you. Some of the Salaf, they used to say, if Allah Azza wa Jal, if I make dua to Allah, and Allah gives me what I asked Him for, I thank Him once. If I make dua to Allah, and He gives me what I wanted, I thank Him one time. But when He doesn't give me, I thank Him twice. Because Allah has something, He knows why He didn't give him. He knows why He didn't give you what you wanted. It's for hikmah, perhaps. That's a fact. So we praise Allah Ta'ala in all situations. Not like the human beings, who sometimes they pray, sometimes they're not praiseworthy. These few days, I'm sure many of you know that the new president, not new, but he became president of the United States second time, 45th and 47th president of the United States of America. And one of the things that he said in his speech was, the only two genders that America is going to validate or acknowledge is male and female, nothing else. Wallahi, that's praiseworthy. In America, you say something like this, that's praiseworthy. But the same person, he's the one that wants to wipe out our brothers and sisters in Gaza, and he's funding it. That's blameworthy. May Allah give him what he deserves for that. I mean, so human beings, sometimes we deserve praise, sometimes we don't deserve it. It's not like Allah Azza wa Jal. وَلِلَّهِ مَثَلٌ أَعْلَى. So praise be to Allah Ta'ala for all of these things that we mentioned. We praise Him, we mention His praise, alhamdulillah, out of love and out of submission to Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah Ta'ala for help. As He says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. Seek refuge in sabr, being patient, and salah, and praying. Sabr, my brothers and sisters, is something which is amazing. The Salaf, they used to say, or the scholars, they say that sabr is something that applies to three things, generally speaking. You have to have sabr in obeying Allah Azza wa Jalla. When Allah tells you about the prayer, that's what you do. Coming to the prayer is not easy. Leaving your job and coming to the salah is not easy. Being a male, having to come and pray in the masjid is not easy. Women don't have to be that. You need sabr for that. A person might say, I wish I was a woman and I could pray at home. I don't have to pray at the masjid. It's not easy to worship Allah Azza wa Jalla. That's why people don't pray. People don't give zakat. People don't go to Hajj. He has the money. There's like Hajj, nah, I can't go there, mix with people, nah. I'm not going to do that. And he stays in the UK. Worshipping Allah Azza wa Jalla is not easy, especially in our time. And you know the hadith. Rasulullah said that a time is going to come when holding to your deen is going to be like holding what? Hot coal. And he said to the Sahaba, one of them in that time would have the reward of 70 of you. The Sahaba thought Prophet he wasn't speaking like, facts. He said, Ya Rasulullah, do you mean 70 of us now, the Sahaba, or 70 of themselves? He says, no, 70 of you guys. At the time of the Sahaba, it was much easier to worship Allah. They had difficulties. There was many things that happened. But right now, the internet, TikTok, our kids, all of the shubuhat and the shahawat that you can imagine about is out there. It's not easy to be a Muslim. It's not easy to be a Muslim. But you have to have sabr. The second thing that we must have sabr about is the nawahi. Staying away from something. Drinking. And it goes back to the first one. It's not easy to do that these days. You have haram in your pocket. Pornography. Music. You don't even have to pay for it. You don't have to go to the disco, to the shop to get a disc and buy a CD player. Nah. You go on YouTube, type whatever you want, and then it comes back. Doing haram these days is easy, light. The third thing that we need to have sabr about is the qadr. When something bad happens to you, you have sabr. Sabr applies to these three things. And we have to check ourselves. Do we have sabr in those situations? Are we patient when we need to worship Allah? Ramadan is coming. How many are going to come for Taraweeh? Taraweeh is not easy. It's easy here, to be honest. Back in Africa, forget it. People will be shaking. Your legs are literally shaking. You're like, Imam, come on, like, take it easy on us. Here, if you do one more than 1 hour in Taraweeh, the people are going to say, nah, I'm going to a different masjid. This is long. So it's not easy to worship Allah. It's not easy to have sabr. But this is what we should do. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. We seek Allah's forgiveness also. His maghfirah. And subhanAllah, another surah that I love so much, Surah Al-Nuh. Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam gave da'wah to his people for 950 years. 1,000 except 50. 1,000 minus 50. 950 years. Imagine that. But many of us, practicing Muslims, when you see a brother who doesn't do something right, maybe he's slacking, he's taking his time, he's dragging his feet, you want to bash him, akhi wallah, fear Allah, man. What are you doing? You know what 950 years is? No one is going to reach that amount of time here. It's impossible. For 950 years, Nuh gave da'wah to his people. He said, Inni da'awtu qawmi laylan wa nahara. I called my people, he's speaking to Allah. Inni da'awtu qawmi laylan wa nahara. I would call my people day and night, non-stop. فَلَمْ يَزِدُهُمْ دُعَائِ إِلَّا فِرَارًا. But my calling, my da'wah only increased them in turning their backs, running away. وَإِنِّي كُلَّمَا دَعَوْتُهُمْ لِتَغْفِرَ لَهُمْ جَعَلُوا أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي آذَانِهِمْ. And every time I called them, so you could forgive them, جَعَلُوا أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي آذَانِهِمْ. They will put their fingers in their ears. We're not listening to you, man. وَاسْتَغْشَوْا ثِيَابَهُمْ. And they used to cover themselves. Like, be quiet, man, just leave us alone. وَأَصَرُّوا. And they continued. They were adamant. وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا اسْتِكْبَارًا. And they used to be arrogant. ثُمَّ إِنِّي دَعَوْتُهُمْ جِهَارًا ثُمَّ إِنِّي أَعْلَنْتُ لَهُمْ وَأَسْرَرْتُ لَهُمْ إِسْرَارًا. I made da'wah to them in public and in private, going to houses, on the street. I hate Allah. فَقُلْتُ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ غَفَّارًا. This was Nuh's da'wah, one of the things that he used to quote to. استغفروا ربكم. Seek your Lord's forgiveness. إنه كان غفارا. Indeed, He is the one that forgives. يرسل السماء عليكم مدرارا. He will indeed pour rain over you. ويمددكم بأموال وبنين. And He will give you أموال, wealth, and children's. ويجعل لكم جنات ويجعل لكم أنهار. And He's going to give you jannat, gardens, وأنهار, rivers. ما لكم لا ترجون لله وقارا وقد خلقكم أطوارا. Our brothers and sisters, seeking Allah's forgiveness is something tremendous. You want wealth? Seek Allah's forgiveness. You want kids? Allah's forgiveness. It revolves around it. There's a story of a man who came to a scholar. He came to him and he complained about his wife not giving birth. The Shaykh said to him, seek Allah's forgiveness. Another man came. He said, we have a drought in my country. There's no rain. Seek Allah's forgiveness. Another one came. I'm broke, man. I don't have money. Seek Allah's forgiveness. From this ayah, the benefits of seeking Allah's forgiveness. Not just so He can forgive you, but just for the dunya. Forget the akhirah. I'm not talking about whether He forgives you or not. Just the fact that you're asking Allah to forgive you, wealth, money, rivers, the rain, and so on and so forth. So the next time you apply for a job, before applying for a job, make istighfar. The next time you want something from your dad or your mom, make istighfar. And hopefully that's going to be something that will push that wish, that dua. Istighfar. The Prophet used to make istighfar, as you know, 70 to 100 times every single day. I'm not saying that if you do that, you're definitely going to be rich. But I'm saying one thing that's going to help you achieve what you want in life, a job, certificate, whatever, marry a sister. A sister that wants a brother. I like him at the masjid, I see him all the time. Make istighfar. Perhaps Allah is going to do something for you. So the benefit of istighfar is not only the akhirah but also applies to the dunya. We seek Allah Ta'ala's aid against the evil that is in ourselves. إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَعَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ. And for the consequences of our actions. When I was coming today in the car, me and my uncle were discussing a few words in the Quran. Al-Jaza, Al-Ajr. Words that are very similar, and they all allude to a recompense, a reward. But when you use the word jaza, and listen to this, the word jaza, when you say to your brother, for example, jazakallah, you shouldn't just say jazakallah, just jazakallah like that. Because the jaza in Arabic can be positive, but it can also be negative. You can be rewarded with good, with the word jaza, or evil. So that's why when someone does something good to you, say to him, jazakallahu khayran, may Allah reward you with good. Because the consequences of something can also be evil. So we seek Allah Ta'ala's aid against the consequences of our actions. And whoever Allah Ta'ala guides, none can be guided. And the one that Allah is guided, none can guide him. And you know the story of the death of the uncle of the Prophet. His uncle was on his deathbed, Abu Talib. And the Prophet is dead. Imagine this. It's not me and you. The Prophet is there and his uncle is dying. That's a messenger, a prophet, the best of mankind, of Allah's creation, present. And he's telling him, Ya uncle, قُلْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Say La ilaha illallah, a word by which I would ask Allah to forgive you with. You're going to go to Jannah by saying these words. And on the other side, you have the non-Muslims, Abu Lahab, Abu Jahl. And they will say to him, Ya Abu Talib, are you going to leave the religion of your fathers? You were brought up on shirk and all of these things. We used to worship Allah and Uzza. You're going to leave, now that you're dead, all of that, you're going to go to Muhammad's deen? And even then, he didn't accept Islam. Whoever Allah is guiding, none can guide him. Even if the Prophet is next to him. Even if the Prophet is there, talking to him, doesn't matter. Because true guidance, the one of the heart, is in Allah's hand. And that's why we make the dua, Allahumma ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qulubana ala dinik. Because you can be guided today, but what guarantees you that you're going to be guided when you're dying or at the end of your life? Wallahi, there's a hadith that it must blow your mind every time you hear it. Prophet mentions that there are people who they live on Islam. يعملون بعمل أهل الجنة حتى يكون بينه وبينها إلا ذراع فيعمل بعمل أهل النار فيدخلها أو يعمل بعمل أهل النار حتى لا يكون بينه وبينها إلا ذراع فيسبق عليه الكتاب فيعمل بعمل أهل الجنة فيدخلها. None of us is safe. Don't think because you come to the masjid, your beard became white on Islam, that you're going to die on Islam. It's not set in stones. It's not set in stones. The hadith mentions that one of us, a Muslim, would live and act does the actions of the people of Jannah. Until there is only a handspan between him and it. I.e., if he passes away now, he's meant to go to Jannah. But he does something from the actions of the people of the hellfire, and then he goes into it. And the opposite also. A person lives his life all with his kufr, shirk, womanizing, doing what? All kind of crazy things you can imagine. But a little bit before he dies, few days, few months, he starts, becomes Muslim, he rectifies himself, and then he goes into Jannah. Imagine this. You live in your whole life on Islam, worshipping and things, and then you go to Jannah. Why? You know why? Because of the intention. That's why the hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى, is that is the pillar. This is the cornerstone of Islam, Tawheed. This sincerity thing. That person goes to the Jannah, to the Nar. Why? Because worshipping is not only that which you're doing physically. If you're not doing it for Allah, you're a munafiq. You're a hypocrite. And your reality is going to be exposed. And that's why, before passing away, he goes crazy. He does crazy things. And then he goes to Jahannam. Why? Because he was trying to show off. He wasn't a sincere Muslim. And the opposite is also true. A person might be doing all kind of crazy things, in all kind of sins, but inshallah his heart is good, and Allah chooses to turn it and change the situation and rectifies him, and then he goes into Jannah. So we're not those people that are supposed to judge people's heart. We judge apparent actions, yes, but know that as Muslims we have to constantly ask Allah to make us firm in Islam. Oh Allah, make us live as Muslims and also make us die as Muslims. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. الحمد لله على إحسانه، الشكر له على توفيقه وامتنانه، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له تعظيما لشأنه، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله والداعي إلى رضوانه. أما بعد. Can you come closer please and fill the gaps as people that are standing outside. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Bearing witness that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his messenger. When this used to be said to the Quraysh, the Arab of Quraysh, as Allah tabarak wa ta'ala says, إِنَّهُ إِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ وَيَقُولُونَ إِنَّا لَتَارِكُوا آلِهَتِنَا لِشَاعِرٍ مَجْنُونَ. When you said to them, La ilaha illallah yastakbirun, they used to be arrogant, and they would say, are we going to leave our deities for a crazy poet? Quraysh understood what La ilaha illallah meant. It meant that we're going to leave off worshipping anything other than Allah, and we're only going to worship Allah alone without any partners. And wallahi, wa billahi, wa tallahi, Quraysh understood Tawheed more than many of the Muslims today. The Muslims who, they say La ilaha illallah, but at the same time, they worship other than Allah. Whether it is by prostrating, whether it is by calling upon them, whether it is by slaughtering for them, whether doing anything that is categorized as worship. Where is your La ilaha illallah? Don't you know that La ilaha illallah has invalidations? There are things that are going to invalidate your Islam, whether you want it or not, whether you know them or not. That's what we have to learn, this Tawheed. We have to learn about Tawheed. It's a must. There is no way none of us is going to go to Jannah without knowing what Tawheed is. And subhanAllah, the other day I was reflecting, and I was thinking, It's good that these days we have many people coming to Islam. Many people, colleagues, comrades at school, many want to become Muslims. But don't you think that nowadays there's also many people that leave Islam, but there's many people who the Islam is you don't understand. What kind of Islam are you? Did you become Muslim, or do you even know what Islam is? And then you start hearing stories, and people make statements, and they say, oh, he became Muslim, and that's what he's saying now. Crazy stuff. And I believe, and Allah knows best, that it's very important that we might need to stop. If a person comes, I want to become Muslim, you're like, mashallah, brother, come. The Shahada. No, it can't just be like that. Islam is something that needs to be protected. It's something that must be luxurious. You know shops in town or in city center that you guys have here? I don't know if you have Louis Vuitton here or like Gucci or something like that. Does anyone goes there? You have to like they have to look at you. When they look at you, you don't look like someone that they be like, sorry sir, you can't come in. You don't look like the kind of person that can afford this. Wallahi, this is how Islam should be. Because otherwise, when you open the doors of Islam to people who don't understand Islam, they're going to harm Islam even more. And that's why you're going to see that in sects like Boko Haram, many of them are not Muslims. They don't even know what Islam is. Read the Quran, it's like, he doesn't know how to read. ISIS, many of them are not Muslims. Read the Quran, it's like, he doesn't know how to read. But he's fighting for the Islamic State, right? So Islam is something that needs to be protected. And no one can just enter it just to enter it. Like, no. We have to start doing courses. You want to become Muslim, no problem. What is Islam? How do you have to teach them these things. It's good that if a person knows about it, and say, I've read it. Some people read about Islam, they know, I've read about it, I'm ready to make my shahada. And you can clearly see that. Some people are clueless what Islam is. He becomes Muslim because he's just looking. I had a guy who said to me, I want to become Muslim because I'm looking into other religions. No, you don't become Muslim because you look into other religions or other ways of life. That's not the reason why. You become Muslim when you understand what Islam is. You're ready to practice it. You understand Tawheed. Not the deep issues, but at least you have a good amount of knowledge about Islam. That's what the Sahaba did before becoming Muslims. You think they become Muslim because they heard about Muhammad? No. They understood Arabic, they knew what it meant, they knew what they were going for. So we have to protect our Islam. And not let just every Tom, Dick and Harry or whoever they are come into it. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله. And as you know, من أصدق من الله قيلا ومن أصدق من الله حديثا. Who is more truthful, clear than Allah Azza wa Jal in His speech? No one. But do we understand the speech of Allah Azza wa Jal? Do we go back to that Quran and recite it? How many of it do we know? Ramadan is coming, right? And we should be getting ready for Ramadan. How many of us knows how to read the Quran correctly? Right now we're in the month of Rajab, right? There's only 1 week before Sha'ban starts. It's now that you need to start learning about the Quran. If you don't know how to read properly, go and learn. You have a month, you have 5 weeks. And it's more than enough for you to read the harakat and start knowing this tajweed. It's more than enough. You're going to go know a good amount. Don't worry about Ramadan is going to come and then you check, above your shelf, the top one, where there's spider's webs. And then you take that all Quran and come out. That's when you want to recite that. We start from now. The preparation for reading the Quran is now. Start reading 1 page a day, 2 pages a day, 3 pages. And in Ramadan you're going to finish 5 pages, or 10 pages, or 1 juz, or two times, or three times the Quran. If you want to start now, it's not Ramadan. It's not you're not going to be in Ramadan. The first day of Ramadan you're going to start 1 page, and by the end of Ramadan you leave it off. You're not going to take it. Start now. You're building up that momentum. Every single action in Islam, especially the pillars, you're going to notice that there's something before it and something after it. So before Salat al-Dhuhr, you have the rawatib, 2 rak'ah before Dhuhr, or 4 rak'ah rather. After Dhuhr, you have 2 rakat. Before Maghrib, when you get these things, do what? Before, when you're making wudu, what do you make wudu? You're getting into the habit. When you're training, we love the gym these days. You can't just go into the gym and start just working out. No, you have to build up, heat up. Everything is like this. Before you go into the action, they give you a training. It's the same thing for Ramadan. You're starting the fast now, you're starting the Quran, you're building the momentum. When Ramadan comes, you're ready for it. The preparation for Ramadan starts now, guys. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة في الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. I'm going to end up with this. Sorry to take long, but the last thing that I want to speak about is the fact that the Prophet ﷺ's way is the best, and we have to follow him. And without following the Prophet ﷺ as he should be followed, our Islam is not complete. And we have to understand that the worst things that can happen to a Muslim's life, one of the worst things after shirk, is falling into innovations. The Prophet ﷺ said in hadith, افترقت اليهود على 71 فرقة وافترقت النصارى على 72 فرقة وستفترق هذه الأمة على 73 فرقة كلها في النار إلا واحدة. The Yahud, the Jews, they divided themselves into 71 sects, and the Christians into 72. And the Muslims are going to divide themselves into 72 sects. This is a hadith that is established. And even if that hadith wasn't true, you can clearly see right now there are many Muslims that are divided. This is a fact. He said, كلها في النار إلا واحدة. All of them are going to be in the hellfire except for one. قالوا من هي يا رسول الله؟ قال من كان على مثل ما أنا عليه اليوم أصحابي. Those are going to be in Jannah, i.e. they're not going to go through Jahannam. Because these 72 sects, they're Muslims. We're not saying that they're not Muslims, they were. But the actions that they did are going to make them go to Jahannam, get purified, and then go to Jannah. As for this one sect, this one Muslim group, there are people that are going to go to Jannah straight away. And it is not black people, it's not white people, it's not in the UK, or people that call themselves this, or with this group, and they give themselves a banner, and every time they say, oh, it's not that. الذين على ما أنا عليه اليوم وأصحابي, those who are upon that which I'm upon today, and my companions, whoever you are, inshallah you're part of that. And may Allah make us part of that. So don't be fooled by people who say, we are that sect, or we are. Just make sure you are practicing that which Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did and the companions did, with proof. However you call yourself, Salafi, Ahl Hadith, and so on and so forth. And the harm of not holding to this, listen, Yawm al-Qiyamah, there are people that are going to come. And the Prophet ﷺ would recognize them. And he would say to the angels, Ummati, this is my nation. He can see the Athar al-Wudu. He can clearly see, these are Muslims. And when they would come next to him, he would notice the angels are going to push them away. Ummati, this is my people, leave them alone, let them come drink from the pond. The angel will say to him, Ya Muhammad, إِنَّكَ لَا تَدْرِي مَا أَحْدَثُ بَعْدَكَ. You don't know what they invented, what they made Islam after you. They innovated festivities, ways of making dhikr, new salawat, new ways of making hajj. They twisted the religion. A religion that if you came back today, you will say, nah, I don't know what these people are, but they're definitely not Muslims. A weird Islam. Those people are going to be pushed away from the funnel of the Prophet ﷺ. They're not going to be able to drink from it. On a day when the sweat of some of us is going to be so high, some above the knees, some on the hips, some are going to be flooded. because of the heat of the day. If there's nothing which should push you away from innovation and be disgusted by innovation, it should be this hadith. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وأعلم السلام.